Let's start with a name that still echoes through time. Harry Houdini. You've heard it, you've seen it, you know the legend, at least parts of it. The man could escape anything. Ropes tied tight around his limbs, handcuffs, shackles, locked trunks, even being buried alive. Houdini made a living by breaking free from the impossible. He wasn't just a magician, he was a symbol, a walking, breathing metaphor for freedom. Every escape said, "Limits don't apply to me." Every performance whispered, "There's always a way out." But behind the fame, behind the flashing lights and roaring crowds, there was one escape that didn't go the way Houdini had planned. And that one failure teaches us more than all his successes combined. At the height of his fame, Houdini made a bold announcement. "I can break out of any jail cell in the world as long as I enter with my street clothes on. Give me 1 hour and I'll walk out. No exceptions." He didn't just say it once. He said it often, loudly, publicly, confidently. To him, it wasn't arrogance. It was certainty. He had proven it so many times. Locked rooms, sealed vaults, high-security prisons, none had held him. So when an old jail in the Deep South heard of this claim, they issued a challenge. "Come try ours," they said. The town was buzzing. People poured into the streets to watch the legend at work. The day of the challenge arrived. Houdini showed up like a celebrity, cool, calm, composed. He greeted the cheering crowd with a smile. He posed for photos, shook hands, maybe even winked at a few wide-eyed kids. Then he walked into the jail, stepped into the cell, and the heavy steel door slammed shut behind him. Clang! It was showtime. First, he removed his coat, then his belt. And in that belt was the tool he had used to escape dozens of locks before. A 10-inch piece of flexible steel, nearly invisible, incredibly effective. He knelt by the door and began his work. Click, twist, tug, turn. At first, everything seemed normal. Houdini worked the lock with precision. His hands moved like they always had. Experienced, practiced, confident. But after 10 minutes, nothing. 20 minutes, still nothing. 30 minutes in, beads of sweat formed on his forehead. The crowd outside waited. The show was supposed to be done by now. Something was wrong. By the 60-minute mark, Houdini's face had changed. No longer calm, no longer confident, just intense focus and a hint of panic. He adjusted his tool, tried again. Click, twist, no release. Time passed. Now, deep into the second hour, Houdini was exhausted. Physically, mentally, emotionally. He had tried every trick he knew, every angle, every strategy. Nothing worked. He finally leaned against the door, breathed heavily, admitted defeat, not out loud, but in his posture, in his eyes, and as he collapsed backward in despair, the door swung open. Yes, you read that correctly. The door was never locked. From the moment Houdini stepped into the cell, that jailer had closed it, but never locked it. So why couldn't Houdini escape? Because he believed it was locked. His mind told him, this is impossible. And because of that belief, it became impossible. He didn't test the handle. He didn't push. He didn't check. He assumed. And that assumption, that invisible lie, was stronger than the lock itself. This story is not just about Houdini. It's about you. It's about all of us. Because every single day, we walk into situations in life where the door isn't really locked, but we think it is. We convince ourselves, I can't change careers now. I'll never find love again. I'm not smart enough to do that. That opportunity's for someone else, not me. We believe these things. And just like Houdini, we don't even try the handle. Let's talk about overthinking. Overthinking is the lock you created. Fear is the chain you wrapped around it. Doubt is the weight holding you down. Overthinking tells you 1,000 reasons why it won't work before you even try. You rehearse failure in your mind before you take the first step. You predict rejection before you make the call. You sabotage the dream before you give it a chance. That's not logic. That's fear disguised as strategy. There's an ancient African proverb that says, when there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. And it's true. Your biggest obstacle isn't the economy, your parents, your past, or your competitors. It's you. It's the war inside. Your mind can be your best friend, or your worst enemy. It can open every door or build prisons where none exist. Here's the painful truth. You weren't born thinking this way. You were taught to. Somewhere along the way, a teacher told you you're not smart enough. A friend said you're too weird. A parent made you feel like you weren't enough. Society pressured you to conform, not dream. And so, like Houdini, you learned to stop checking the handle. You stopped believing in the possibility of what if. But deep down, you know something. You've broken out before. That job you thought you'd never leave, you left. That breakup you thought would destroy you, you healed. That habit you thought would own you forever, you're fighting it. Maybe you even beat it. You've escaped. You can escape again. The door isn't locked. It never was. All this time you've been trapped by invisible chains. The fear of failure, the pressure to be perfect, the weight of expectations, the echoes of your past. But those are just stories, thoughts, beliefs. They are not reality. Reality is. The door is open. You're just one decision away from freedom. Will you keep poking at an unlocked door? Will you keep believing the lies? Or will you pause, take a breath, and push? You've got the key. You always did. The real lock was never on the door. It was on your mind. Here's a test. Stand in front of a mirror and ask, what would my life look like if I stopped believing I was trapped? What would change? What would you start? What would you walk away from? Who would you become? Don't answer quickly. Let it sink in. Then answer with your actions. So here we are. One man, one door, one powerful truth. The door wasn't locked. Neither is yours. You have a choice. You can sit in the cell of fear, failure, and false beliefs, or you can walk through the open door of growth, freedom, and greatness. You are more powerful than any lock your mind can create. Say it again. I am more powerful than any lock my mind can create. Houdini needed steel to escape. You just need belief. And that belief begins now.